One thing I have been asked a lot recently, and something we've been running into, Dave, I know yourself and myself, is just condos, condo fees, association fees, basically what they cover, what they don't cover. Kind of made me think of it when you mentioned the windows, because typically when you're paying condo fees, they'll cover everything on the exterior of the home. So right up until kind of your sewer backup in your basement, they kind of cover right up until that, but anything inside the home is typically your responsibility. But one thing that we've seen more specifically recently is self-managed condos. So condo corporations or condominium complexes, that are not managed by an official, numbered condo corp, which is, I don't want to say the standard, but that's, the majority of condominiums are managed by condo corps. So we've been seeing, sorry, Dave?
I was just going to say professional property management companies.
Yes.
That know. Yeah.
So self-managed condos would be, typically it's a smaller set of units. So, 10 to 50 units. And instead of paying for a professional management company, they typically will manage them themselves. And they'll just have, an internal board with, treasurer and so on and so forth. And then they collect the money, they get their own quotes and so on. But a lot of lenders will kind of scrutinize those files or those properties a little more in depth, because they want to make sure that it's being self-managed properly. And we've come across it. I've seen it more recently than I've seen it in the past 8 years. So I know, Dave, if you want to, I don't know, give an explanation further into that, or I don't know if maybe you can give an example.
It's exactly as you said. Typically, most condos are managed by a professional property management company. They do all the audits. They handle the financials. You do have a board made up of the people that live within the condo, but you do have a third party scrutinizing that helps with financials, making sure reserve funds are there, or managing repairs and maintenance, things like that, as well as getting like engineering studies. And so the self-managed ones, I guess in the past and current, they're more prone to having issues with the funds being collected, condo fees not being increased appropriately because it's being managed by the people living there. They're saying, well, no, we're not going to raise condo fees, even though there's repairs needing to be done, because they themselves are not wanting to pay more in condo fees. And so it ends up in some of those cases, and not just that, but in other aspects as well, that, deferred maybe maintenance that causes issues. And so the banks look at it as, well, these are, not as reliable necessarily, condos or financials, or they've had the investigation. So there's a lot of banks that just flat out won't lend on condos that are self-managed. Or if they do, they require like 2 years financials of the condo board, like 6 months to 2 years of the meeting minutes, all the condo documents. It's a really in-depth that they want up front, and they're then sending the file still to the risk department. I have one right now that was self-managed as well, that finally just got the approval back with Scotia after, over a month. And that was, they had to go to their risk department. They had to scrutinize it, even though CMHC was on board and they're fine with it. The banks still do their due diligence. So, for that file, it was, submitted July 7th, and I just got the commitment yesterday because of the added due diligence. So if you're, for realtors out there or home buyers looking at a self-managed condo, take an extra level of scrutiny to it, or have your lawyer scrutinize the condo corp docs and financials. If there's special assessments or deferred maintenance, these are going to be issues, and you're going to have trouble getting financing for them. And so just something to be aware of. And also for buyers buying these properties, you're not going to have the pick of the litter of banks that will do them as well. So, you're not going to have as many options for rates or different products, things like that. So just to be mindful of that.
Were you aware of that, Greg? Did you know that was that would cause further scrutiny?
No.
Stena is saying that
no,
two comments. Hanif says condo corps are mucho expensive. He says, as I say this after living in my house for 34 years. And then Sten also said self-managed condo corps sound very risky. So risky I think is a bit too
I don't know about that.
negative of a word. Like I think did they just require further in-depth review, because you could have some people, you may have a small condominium that has 10 to 15 units and you might have one or two people that are take it very seriously and are very diligent and manage it even better than some of the professional corps, but the lenders just want to make sure that that is the case and that you're not dealing with people.
Sorry dude, I'm like,
no, go ahead.
Maybe I'm choppy here. The last one that I did that was self-managed was amazing, and it's in Orleans, and the guy, I've done 3 deals in there over the years, and it's still the same guy who manages it. And he's like totally on the ball. And like every time it's like, no problem at all. Status certificate's been great, flying colors. But yeah, I can imagine that some of them like that are just people just don't pay attention. I also know that, with some of them that are self-managed, the board is not great.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I think with it, like I said, it's typically the condo corp and board and property manager that looks at the reserve fund. They also have audits or review from their accountants and, or in other cases, appraisal firms that will go in and look at that of what would be needed or what should be set aside for reserve funds. But again, self-managed, they're deciding what they want to put in and maybe they're shorting that instead, which is not necessarily helpful, as opposed to a third party that's saying, okay, it's removed that personal connection. And they're just saying, no, we need to increase 3% to make sure with the rise in costs, and we know that these are coming up. But anyways, I mean, for sure, the condos are still there's still great ones, like Greg said, out there, and not to be, don't be scared of them or anything like that. Just more so it's, food for thought that when you're looking at them, that they are going to be scrutinized more heavily by the banks, and there are quite a number of them that won't lend on them.
And it'll definitely be disclosed, so it's not something that you need to worry about them, sweeping it under the rug or anything like that.